Okay guys, back with another video here, starting to build on some of our team concepts. So to date we've covered north, south, east, and west for on-ball defensemen. We've covered the terms alley, skinny, and drive and turn. And in the most recent video we've covered the second half of that, which is ones and twos, hedge and fire, eagle and turtle, Rico, away, and bump. So you're going to start hearing me use these terminology, pretty frequently as it relates as it would be on the field. In our last video, we also talked about cutting the field in half and what that looks like and why we need to do those things. So in this video, we're going to talk about what's called Carolina, which is a base defense for us. Carolina C, Crease C. Anytime we're sliding from the crease, regardless of the formation, we're going to be using Carolina, right? That's our cue that we're sliding from crease, all right? I have a little thing over here to the side that says use against for some formations that would elicit us sliding from the crease. A 2-3-1, which would be 2 up top, 3, and then 1 behind an X. A 3-1-2 would be 3 across the top, 1 on the crease, 2 on the wings. Excuse me, more like low at GLE most likely. A 1-3-2, which would be this flipped, so 1 up top, 3, 2 behind. And we're going to cover double crease Carolina in our next video. So we're just going to focus on the left side of the column for this one. So we're just going to go through the slides and what that looks like for each of these 5 spots on the perimeter. So balls up top, first thing that we need to do as a D midi, force the alley. Don't give them the middle, take them down the side. Make them go here, okay? Which makes this opposite D midi a 2. So we have our 1, which is our LSM. He's going to be hedging, which from our last video is take a 12-yard slide and make it 7. He's going to be about here with his stick dragging behind him like this to protect the middle until these 2s can cover the crease. All right, so now we've taken a 12-yard slide and made it 7. We're going to fire, right? And then once we arrive, ball carrier's about here now. Our LSM has slid to on ball, which means that this D midi is in the act of Rico. Okay? So, again, now we have an option to either pull him to the crease and bump back out, or we can send him away. A Rico to the crease and bump would look like this. D midi comes in. D midi, that was the original 2, goes back out. That's our bump. Okay? And away would be, here's my opposite D midi as the 2. I want to stay here, so I send him away. Oops. Okay? So, let's go from the other side up top. We've got our ball carrier here. We've got our LSM, our D midis. Now it's opposite. We want to flip our hips and take him this way, right? So we want to take this guy down the alley here. That's our term number 1, alley. Again, this LSM is my 1, my hot. He's doing what's called hedging. Hedging, 12 yards, take a 12-yard slide, make it 7. Stick is dragging behind him. So I can buy time for these 2s to get in on the crease. So now we've hedged, we've got our 1s and our 2s, we're ready to fire. So we're going to go to the ball carrier who's about here by now. And again, this D midi here is in the act of recovering, right? He's going to come back to the crease and do one of 2 things. He's either going to bump or he's going to away. A bump would be this. And this D midi who was originally a 2 from the original dodge, is now going out. That's our bump. I go in, I bump somebody out. And again, to show you a way, he's going to stay home, and he's going to look away from the ball. All right, so that's covered our 2 skinny dodges up top. Now for skinnies, it's very, very similar with a little bit of a difference. So let's reset our drawings here. So now the ball's going to come from this wing. All right, we've still got our dodgers here, or excuse me, our offensive players here. The first things first, this defenseman that's low pole cannot allow him to go topside, okay? We've got to force him this direction, skinny down the pipe. If this ball carrier goes over the top, it changes our 2s, but also it makes the slide longer. If he can go this direction, that slide is getting harder and harder as the dodge progresses. Here, underneath, the slide is getting shorter and shorter for that LSM to go to, okay? We've got our D-middies in, our backside defenseman and ball side. Very important, by the way, that this guy playing X on the wing dodge is here stealing real estate on the pipe. If you're here, he's got all kinds of space. If you're here with your stick inside, keeping an eye on your attackman, that deterrent might be enough to make that guy think about it, but it also steals real estate that this LSM doesn't have to cover when he slides, okay? So we've forced our skinny. We need our 1 and 2 now. The LSM is my 1. These guys are our 2s. Now notice here, I'm not drawing this all the way up. If this guy cuts behind the LSM and goes low, this low defenseman would take him. If he pops high or pops like this D-midi would take him. So it depends on where the crease is going. Don't just have this guy, if he was to pop, don't have this guy come all the way up because it's going to leave all kinds of space behind him. Just pass it off to the D-middies up top, okay? So I'm going to draw those like that, where these guys have to communicate with each other who's taking the 2, but we need somebody on them. So we've got our 1s and our 2s. We're going to hedge, make a 12-yard slide 7. He's going to fire. And now this ball carrier is about here. This defense is in the act of Rico. And then we have to again tell him, are we going to away or bump, right? A bump would be here, like that. That's our bump. On ball goes Crease. Crease goes back out. We bump him. Or maybe it's exactly like we said. This guy is making an active move to the goal. This D-midi has made a decision to play him and not leave him. So in that case, we send them all the way through, which would be an away call. All right. When we go from X, remember on-ball defenseman at X, we're using our terms drive and turn on item number 3. Let's say he went to his right hand. We have our on-ball defenseman, we have our LSM. One thing when the ball is at X, very important that we are able to play this ball side wing adjacent very, very heavy. We don't want to slide from here and step in and have this guy curl around for a wide open shot. So we want to be able to press that adjacent very heavy and pull this backside defenseman in on the backside pipe, D-middies like this. Again, very important that this defenseman gives him one direction, right? We don't want to give him free run at the cage. We want to tell him you're either going this way or that way, because which way he goes dictates which one of these D-middies and low poles is our 2. And we don't want to get caught flip-flopping between 2s. So we've done our drive and turn. We're going to do our turn right now. Usually when you run a drive, it's because you want to keep the matchup. And so we're not going to slide to you. Maybe if we like our our matchup here is a defenseman on their attackman. We're going to have him drive to the corner without a slide, is when we would use drive. Now for turn, we would want to, as we approach GLE, ball's here, we're taking away the ball side adjacent. This defenseman has worked his feet around to make this offensive player turn. When we see the back of the helmet, our LSM, who is R1, has been hedging with the stick behind, right? Which makes this R2 and this R2, so he can fire when that ball carrier turns his head. So let's fast forward a little bit. LSM has picked up the ball carrier. This original on-ball defenseman is in the act of Rico. And we need to decide, are we bumping or are we away, right? Well, as this guy continues to carry, this guy's gonna have to start working back out to the ball side adjacent, so we have to make a decision very quickly. A bump would be here, here, that's our bump. Our Rico goes crease, crease goes back out. Or if we go away, let's say as that happened, this ball carrier moved here, this defenseman vacated, and this crease attackman flashed hard, or this midfielder most likely, flashed hard to the ball carrier. That defenseman would probably want to lock that and then send this away. You'll have an option to obviously go here, shortest distances, and then the D-midi rotates over, but for now we're just doing bumping away, and that's how we would handle that X, okay? So just to summarize X, drive we call with the intention of not sliding to X. Turn we call with the intention of sliding early, so then you start working your eagle and turtle calls. Drive goes with turtle, right? Very, very slow, be patient, let's see how the matchup plays out. Eagle is, hey, be ready to go because I'm forcing the turn no matter what, okay? So we've covered every spot now against a 2-3-1. And these principles would be the same thing as a 3-1-2 and a 1-3-2, where as long as we understand what we're trying to do here, it doesn't matter what kind of formation they're in. Even double crease, which you guys will see in the next video, is going to be the same exact thing. It's just there's one extra 2 slide thrown in, okay? So just to summarize again, just to beat this home, up top we force alley to one side only. We always establish a 1 and 2. We hedge and fire. We dictate whether we're going early or late. We Rico, and our 2 options for the Rico are to bump, send the original ball defender to the crease, and then the crease goes out. Or we do away, which is our 2 slide is going to lock the crease, and the original on-ball defenseman that we slid to is going to go away from the play. Pretty simple. All right, so our next video is going to be Carolina against a double crease, so we can see the 2-2-2 and a 1-4-1.